what we've the last year has been the sort of the great like I mean, I think we might come back and look at this as a great awakening. I would to think this positively, to think positively about it.
I
Um,
strongly disagree, but continue.
okay. Good. um, uh, and in the sense that I mean, there are things that I've learned this year that I like. I mean, outside of just your skills, but there's things I learned this year about the way about the plan. So what I'm going to call the plan right now, and what the plan is to, and I would actually I'm looking forward to your commentary on this. Um, is the plan is to have like at least in Canada, healthcare is in the public domain. So that it's not private healthcare, it's public healthcare. And public healthcare, the pros of public healthcare are anyone that gets sick or needs emergency healthcare can get it without regardless of where they fall on the economic socioeconomic pyramid, say.
Canada's in the bud.
Hmm? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Long live Canada.
It's a very I mean, I don't know if you know anyone, especially this year. I mean, but if you know anybody that's been sick, that doesn't have any money, I mean, like in the States, right? Everybody gets a GoFundMe for every time they get sick, and so you depend on the like you're depending on others to raise money for you, and if they don't, and if like let's say you were a jerk, but and no one liked you, nobody like actually everyone knows that you were a jerk and nobody likes you, and then you get sick and you need like the GoFundMe is not I don't think because that adds a new layer of stress because you if we have the medicine, if we have this and why I only can't access it, why because of X, Y, and Z. And so I'm building a big arc here. So the in Canada you have public health care, and one of the arguments for privatization is that privatization is more efficient. But the issue with privatization as an entrepreneur is that the most important unit of measure is the uh, the currency, right? The capital, the cash flow, and so there is a natural incentive to maximize profits in a private endeavor, which is what is supposed to lead to the efficiencies that you would like to see in a system. So you don't have a bloated administration because every year you'll have someone saying, "I want more profit." So what do you do? We don't need you in this job. What do you do? We don't need you in this job.
Lean
And
organization.
yeah, and then they could fire them and lean it up and continue to make more profit. But it
Or give
ultimately,
10 jobs to one guy, the
yeah,
intern.
and
Yeah.
ultimately, what it does is it takes healthcare like if you can't afford a procedure, if you can't afford the procedure, then you don't get it. Um, but you also then have an incentive to actually need to have more procedures because the more expensive procedures, the higher number of procedures. And so you have that like trigger medicine, trigger pharmaceuticals. And at the same time, you do have an incentive, like a lobby group that keeps activities and ingredients circulating in society that cause uh, the human body to need to pay more to keep it functioning normally. And so if you have the money, you do that. So I can eat fast food and junk food every day, never exercise and watch TV all day, and never take care of my mind, my body, my heart, my soul. I just don't need to even think about those things. And I can just sort of go through life in my stupor, have my issues, and then end up at the private healthcare clinic where cha-ching, baby, cha-ching. Like the more problems, the better. Um, and so and there is a push and as a like I've liked privatization throughout my life. I think I've generally been more for privatization up to this year where I was thinking that there are things that just can't be private, but if you undermine public health by either reducing funding and by, like, there's not enough money. Like, oh, there's not enough money. We don't raise enough money from taxes from the companies that sell all the junk that get people into, and the companies that sell the cigarettes that get people into, and the companies that sell, well, I mean, Canada, the government that sells the alcohol that gets the people into, and without having that sort of, like, collective wellness, communal wellness, that type of idea being the thing, then you end up in a situation. And so that's kind of my argument, or my where I'm swimming around, is this idea that there is now, like, because private healthcare, just like public healthcare, just like public education, is inefficient and highly and costly. Forget I said education, because I don't want to mix issues, but because public healthcare is so inefficient, then the private sector comes in and says, okay, I'll take it over. But the reason why the public health sector is so inefficient is because of the actions of the private corporations, and the separation of those things.
Yeah, yes, I like, number one, I want to just, in the broad sense, when you say the Great Awakening, I just want to touch on that for a second. The fact that we're still having this conversation is why I'm saying there is no Great Awakening. If it hasn't happened in the last year, it's not happening, and like it hasn't happened. Um, in terms of, like, I just like, in terms of the private, go ahead,
Awakening
tell me,
is
tell me.
it's a process. It has an ing at the end.
Yes, but like that uh I get what you're saying. I'm just
Yeah, like,
very bearish.
becoming. I know, but becoming is becoming. Becoming
I
is becoming.
I admire your positivity and
Thank you, sir.
optimism, and like I aim to imitate it, but in my heart I just can't.
I'm done.
Anyways, in terms of the, like, again, bro, what can I tell you? It's criminal. What happens here in the US healthcare system is a criminal enterprise. It's a legalized criminal enterprise. And I'm not saying in terms of, Pfizer, Moderna, they did a vaccine in a year. So like, that efficiencies we talk about in terms of like private sector, that's proof of it. That's proof positive, whether I like it or not. You know what? Republicans 1-0, right? That's one for the company. But the fact that they're charging insulin at $300 a pop, I'd rather go visit my dealer on the corner if I'm going, like, if we're talking those prices, like, you're pricing me out, like, and this is like, I'm not a drug like addict. I just want like pharmaceutical drugs. And it's weird, it's criminal, it's inhumane. And again, if we haven't done anything in the last year in terms of prescription drugs or anything pharmaceutical, medical related in the United States, it's not even being discussed really. Like, now they've moved on. Uncle Joe's moved on to infrastructure instead of, like, we're not here. It's what we were talking about, the media. Look here, look here. Every time you like focus on one problem, they bring up a different problem, that, oh, but we have these issues as well. So as soon as we start talking about the medical thing, first off, no one wants to talk about medical anymore. It's not sexy. We've had 1 year of corona, everyone's sick of it. No one wants to talk about healthcare. That immediately changes your political agenda.
Mm.
As a politician, I'm just saying, I know I'm blurring
Yeah.
lines
Well,
here.
I know. I mean, everybody's been vaccinated, and in the states, and this is where there's a big difference between Canada and the states in just sort of the response. It's crazy how quickly it's crazy, really. It's crazy how quickly the states has changed the dialogue around this pandemic and the response to this pandemic.
And the marketing of and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes, like
yeah.
we've seen three,
خلاص.
4 marketing phases. No, just in terms of like going back to your, like, last year we were freaked out. A couple months, like literally a month after the initial like March break, we had hashtag flatten the curve. Does anyone remember this, or am I the only, like, we had hashtag flatten the curve, then we had hashtag something else, mask up or something, and then there was a different, it's just funny. And now we're doing hashtag get the shot. Like, it's just funny how the marketing, like, has
Yeah,
like
yeah. The marketing of the response, the
and
marketing of the
where's the
response.
money for this? You
Mm.
don't have money for the kid who's dying of cancer, but you have money to tell, like, to tell everyone to wear a mask, which is already being done in every shop. It's just, I don't know. It's illogical. At some points, it's clearly illogical, nay, criminally illogical.
And I think I can understand where you said you disagree, because it has not led to a conversation about health and wellness, and what are the free things that we could be doing, the free things that you can be doing, and what are the environmental factors that literally work against our own health and wellness. um, right, like it's cheaper to get bad food. It and economics, baby. Like it's cheaper to get bad food. Gym memberships. I was talking to somebody a few days ago that was like, I cannot, like they this pandemic, I didn't get sick. They closed the gym. I couldn't go to the gym. My back started acting up. I couldn't. I went to go get it fixed at a chiropractor. It got worse, and now I can't run anymore. And I feel envious and angry at others that can run, and I feel a little bit of that feeling, and I feel like
And
I
then it
wish the gym had
leaks
never
into
closed.
and
Yeah.
then it leaks into self-loathing. That
Mm.
anger to others leads into
It's
self-loathing, and
poison. It's poison that you
it's a
carry around with you. It's a poison that like it eats at your soul, and I think, and that's kind of probably what what politics at its best strives to do at its best is to bring the conversation up to real people, to how it really affects your life, and really trying to find the sources of issues as and creating a movement and leadership towards actionable steps that will make people's lives better. And it's not just about putting money in people's pockets, it's about a communal feeling, a communal, you know, stuff like that.
Well, I want to talk about putting money in people's wallets for a second with regard to healthcare workers. We were told we're all in this together. We were told you're essential workers. We were told this. If all of this good stuff is there, I haven't heard a single healthcare CEO take a pay cut to give it to a nurse. In fact, there's news articles of nurses quitting during the pandemic because halas,
Yeah, they can't handle it no more, man. Yeah.
1 year, like, yo, I did it for 3 months. I did it for 4 months. I did it for 6 months. I did it for 8 months. I did it until we carried a baby, 9 months. I'm doing it for a year, and you're still my issue is if I brought this up, I think the CEOs need to take a wartime pay cut. Everyone should be flatline, make $300,000, and that's saving. If you earned 1 million before, you're now 300. There's 700,000 delta. That saving goes straight to the nurses, to not even the doctors, actually, the nurses and the janitor, like custodial staff. Like Yanni, all I'm saying is we haven't even started this discussion. We're like, that's why I'm bearish. That's all.
I had I think you're right to be bearish. I think if you were sitting in a room with the CEOs and, like, let's say a panel or something nice and sanitized, where you could sit there and you said this, and they would look at you, and then they would answer something else,
That,
and they would just they're the masters of this.
we do a lot of CSR. This year alone, our marketing budget went up by 200%, and we fundraised. Just last week, we had a fundraiser for the
Yeah.
kids in Africa.
Let me introduce you
Like,
to
and they're like, wait, what about your wallet? But like, after giving that kid in Africa 2 bottles of water, you got 3% stock options, which increase your wealth by millions, hundreds of thousands, whatever. Like, that's the thing. Americans, it's so weird. This country, cash, money, capitalism, but like people are like really like they're kind like starving. They're starving
yeah,
cash
people,
wise.
yeah, people are it's these are the glaring contradictions in what is said and what happens is
Orthodoxy and orthoproxy.
yeah, is a parrot, yeah, 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 yeah. You had it, you got it, you got it right. Like that's it, the the full circle. It's a glaring time, but I do believe, I really do, I'm trying to be positive, I'm not trying to be positive, just like the process of becoming, the process of awakening is a process, and you need the jarring in order to see the light. Like you need the shadow to cut in so you could see that there is actually light in this space. If the shadow doesn't appear there, you cannot see the light.
What can I rephrase my answer then?
What did
Good,
I
good.
just
Yeah, yeah. That
what did I
deepness,
just say?
like you forced me to rephrase my answer now. How about I'm positive and optimistic individually? I think I've seen the light and I'm like, and I want to spread that message. And I want to, like, we want to, by having this conversation, we are spreading that message or those messages. But societally, unless we're like, 2 million hits, 2 million subscribers, like, inshallah, societally, I'm bearish. How about that? Personally, optimistic and thing because I can see like there's a market inefficiency we're kind of like trying to take advantage of, and that's okay to admit, right? Like this third culture kid, like the feelings we're having, whatever. Um, yeah, man. But like societally, just again in terms of what I see
I mean,
generally,
there's
I
no
don't know if I
difference,
had
right?
that power, it would be different.
I mean, there's no different. I think, and that's part of maybe why we're starting this